Welcome to the Belonging Podcast, where stories that we tell widen circles, open hearts, and remind us all that we belong together. Today's guest is someone that I've just recently met, and I'm so excited and honored that she's agreed to share her story with us. Today, we have the privilege of meeting Jill Valentine. She's the co-founder and impact coach of UGO Impact. This is an organization that provides opportunity for transformational travel. Can only imagine the fun places we're going today. This is where travel, purpose, service, and personal transformation meet in unexpected ways. I get the sense that Jill is listening for something deeper. We're going to be exploring her story through the lens of belonging and how belonging can grow when we say yes to the unknown. So Jill, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
So let's start simply. What is transformational travel?
So transformational travel is when we travel intentionally with an open mind, and we go on experiences abroad that push us out of our comfort zone, where we do intentional reflection. And the idea is that we are looking for a change, maybe a shift in perspective, some kind of growth. So it's really around being intentional with our travel.
So is traveling something that you've been involved in and loved your whole life, or is this a newer thing?
I've definitely traveled a lot through my life. When I was younger, we did a lot of family vacations, mainly, places like Florida, Cape Cod, down to the Caribbean in our teens, that kind of stuff, and places like Ireland, because that's where I was born. And then as I got older, yes, the adventures became sort of further abroad. Since my 20s, I guess, I did backpacking around Europe, and I've been, excitedly traveling since then.
Ever since. Was there a moment that actual transformational travel called you? What was happening in your life when that seed was
Ooh.
first planted?
I have worked in nonprofit. I'd worked in fundraising, event coordinating for many years. I ended up in disability sport development, and I was working sort of in the 9 to 5. I enjoyed my job, but I didn't love it. I wasn't thriving. I wasn't really happy and feeling fulfilled. And I met a boy, and we had a conversation that led us to spending a year volunteering in Uganda. And I had lived in Tanzania briefly for 4 months volunteering, and I was like, I want to go back. He was like, I would love to go and volunteer as well. And I was like, you know what? I would quit my job and go right now. And he's like, so would I. And I was like, are we going to do this? And we literally did. We quit our jobs, and 6 months later headed off to live in Uganda for a year. And it was an extremely powerful year. I had the best year professionally. I ran the first National Disability Sports Summit. Personally, he ended up proposing before we came home. It was just this incredible year of adventure and just all of these amazing things. And then I came home, and I, should have been so excited and happy, but I actually felt really down. Kind of depressed and sort of struggled. And then I took a life coaching program because I realized I couldn't go back to the 9 to 5. And I was like, what am I going to do? People were talking about life coaches. And I thought that seems something that's up my alley. And I took a life coaching program, and it opened my eyes to who I was and what was possible for my life and all of the things. And of course, everyone's like, who are you going to coach? What are you going to do? And I said, it's going to be something around volunteering. I just don't know exactly what. I decided to go and spend a month in the Philippines after Typhoon Haiyan, volunteering and giving back.
Okay.
And while I was there and we were helping recover after the very devastating typhoon, I was coaching and connecting with the volunteers. And so many of them were like, holy cow, what's happening to me here is so profound. How am I going to go home after this meaningful experience? And I was like, oh my goodness, of course. Volunteering abroad personally was super transformative for me. This life coaching program has been so, again, transformative, eye-opening, all the things. And I thought, if I marry those two things together, holy cow, the transformative nature for the people that go on those experiences and I'd be doing what I love, which is helping communities around the world. So I decided to become a transformational travel coach.
Just so brilliant to blend coaching and travel
Mhm.
and service. Wow. Just phenomenal. So it sounds like really your whole life you've done a lot of volunteer work.
Oh, yes.
What was that something your family did, your parents? What got you into volunteer work and seeing it, and like you feel really grounded in volunteer work to me. How did that
Mhm.
happen?
So I mean, we definitely did some, giving back. I remember visiting nursing homes at Christmas and handing out chocolates. My parents were definitely caring people. And then in high school, I started volunteering in nursing homes and stuff, and doing candy striping and that sort of stuff. And it's just I've actually ended up volunteering over like thousands and thousands of hours for over 30 organizations internationally and locally. But what I actually came to discover through all of the personal growth work and things that I've done is I actually believed that, and this kind of goes along with some of the belonging and stuff, I believed that to be loved, I had to be good. And
Mm,
so, what better way to be good than to volunteer? And
yeah.
so I kind of used to do it when I realized out of a place of of need, of, wanting and sort of a fear-based desire to be like, oh, I'm a good person, so you have to like me, you have to love me.
Mm,
And then of course over time I've just reaped the incredible rewards that happen when you give back, when you are of service, in your community and around the world. And I now just believe it's just the way of being that we should all be, contributing members in society and doing what we can to alleviate the suffering that's happening. And so it's just become, a part of who I am. Yeah.
as humans, the need we feel for significance
Hmm.
can lead us to just give and do and do. If we're a little bit out of balance and we're not feeling love in other parts of our life, um, at the end of the day, people get served. So that's great. But as we can, it sounds like you've learned to sort of shift that to where your cup is
Yes.
filled differently and you're serving and volunteering than from your overflow instead of like depleting yourself to try to feel belonging.
Yes. Yeah, it now comes from a place of like desire and love and fullness rather than a place of like scarcity and
Mm.
fear and all of that kind of stuff. So definitely a
Wow.
shift. Yeah.
That's what a great and valuable shift and like just
Mhm.
part of our human journey to strive for something and make it happen, but it's not necessarily aligned with our best self, and then to be able to find that love and acceptance and belonging and just be able to do it out of the love. Was there in your personal journey, if I can turn the lens of belonging on a little
Sure.
bit more, is there a moment in your personal journey, whether you were volunteering or traveling, that you all of a sudden felt like in a moment you felt belonging, that you felt it so strongly that it really changed then how you moved forward?
Um, I
Or
mean,
or not belonging. There could also be not belonging. So,
well, interestingly, I do have like, I say a little T trauma. When I was in grade 6, I had a moment where I was kind of on the outsides of the cool kids, and they were down the street at a neighbor's house, like a guy that I went to school with, and my parents were like, oh, look, your friends are all over at Chris's house. And I was like, oh, okay. And I knew I was kind of on the outside, but I didn't want my parents to know. And so I went over to kind of be with them. And they literally were like, we don't want you here. So it was just one of those moments that I know has truly like profoundly impacted my life. And then I went home and felt too embarrassed to tell my parents what had happened. So I made up some excuse of like, oh, they were going somewhere or something. And that straight out, just rejection has literally made me to be one of those people where I'm like, I always want people to feel a sense of belonging and welcome. So that definitely shaped things. And I've always felt on the outside of social circles. There was a moment where I did feel what you're talking about, that deep sense of belonging. And it was that when I realized sort of more who I was and what I wanted in my life, which was entrepreneurial and contribution, and I recognized what my values were and then I needed to create them. It's why my life wasn't happy here in Toronto. And I started intentionally creating a community for myself. And I friend stalked this girl that I thought she's this amazing coach. And I was like, I want to be her friend. She's amazing. I had seen her at events and I actually went out of my way to go jogging with her and take the friendship out of these sort of, networking events. We developed a friendship. She introduced me to some other amazing women and they became some of my closest and dearest friends now. And so I think there was a point, maybe a year or two after that, that we were all together and there's 5 of us. And I just was like, I feel a deep sense of belonging, that these people love me, celebrate me, truly accept me for who I am, that I had never experienced in my life. And it was truly just so profound and joy felt, and they're my dearest friends. But it was a journey to get there.
It sounds like it. I was just trying to feel as a young child going to the neighbors. They don't want you. You go home and you obviously didn't feel
Mhm.
enough like you belong to your own parents that you would tell them that. Like, they're going to think I'm the weird one that nobody wants. And so, like, to spend, I identify with that quite a bit. Like, to spend your whole life just doing what you have to do to fit in, doing what you have to do to feel like you belong. But when you
Yeah.
only feel like it and you don't actually belong, like, it's such a, for me, it was such a place of like yearning. Like, I see myself for much of my life being, I call myself an edge walker. I'm
Mhm.
really good on the edges, but getting into the inner circle, people in my inner circle, it takes a while. And then I love that you went, I'm going to say, belonging stalking.
Yeah.
That was the best. You intentionally said, wait, I want to belong. This is a person I want to
Mhm.
belong with.
Yep.
And you facilitated and you built that relationship. And then as belonging happens, when we belong, that circle widens. And
Yep.
so I'm sure that other of the women in your circle needed that belonging just as much. And so by
Exactly.
you finding the one and then her expanding, the circle expands. And then through that, more and more people get to experience belonging. And I think that's it's what I'm learning to cultivate and develop, and why I'm on this belonging journey. And I love to talk about it because I think we take for granted
Mhm.
places we do belong, and we forget to expand that circle so that there's not others having to be on the outside looking in.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think there are things that we assume will happen in life. You'll make friends, you know, you'll meet your partner, like that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. But I ended up with a friend group that I didn't really belong in before that. I didn't feel connected. There wasn't sort of shared values and everything. And then when I did my coaching program and realized these are my values, this is what I want in my life, and was like, I then had the confidence and the clarity to then be like, I'm intentionally going to create the community that I want to have around me. And that was a really important piece because I had just assumed, that friendships just happen. You get a crop of friends in university and you make friends in jobs. But when they're not the right people, it's like we actually have to take a look and
Yeah.
be intentional.
Yeah. I'm starting to have like my buckets of belonging where there's like proximity belonging. I belong with these people because I work with them every day and
Yeah.
I'm kind and I'm thoughtful and I try to make it a healthy environment. The far other side, lots of buckets later, there's that deep belonging where we all belong to each other. And the world is perhaps fractured right now because people think they belong just to this person or just to that person. And then we have these closed circles. So I think there's lots of levels and circles to belonging. But let's get back to UGO Impact. First
Mhm.
off, for the listeners, it's UGO, UGO Impact. I love the name. Who came up with the name? How did that happen? Because I know there's a story behind it.
Yeah. So years ago, I wrote a book called Dare to be a Dandelion, which is about 12 ways to improve yourself in the world by being like a dandelion. And it was a little fundraising tool for the first time I went abroad. And then I did a little self-publish. And when I started this business and my coaching business, I called it Dare to be a Dandelion because that was, I was like, yeah, let's dare to be a dandelion. I then met a business partner. And when we decided, like, okay, we're going to really do this as a serious business, not just sort of me doing my little thing, we were like, the name Dare to be a Dandelion is a little long. It's a little sort of, fun, but it's not really a serious business name. And I still remember the conversation around like, we need something like, sort of like powerful, succinct, like an Uber or a whatever. And my business partner's like, what about something like UGO? And I was like, oh my gosh, like you go girl, like you go make the change, you go make things. And we were just like, this is it. And that was it. Like, I was like, perfect. That was it. We went through a branding exercise and
It's
all of
amazing.
the things. Yeah. And so, UGO. And then at the time it was actually UGO Travel for Change.
You go
Um,
travel for change. Okay.
because we were doing travel for change, changing yourself personally, changing the world, all of that. But then I was like, I offer more than just the travel piece. I mean, it's a huge part, but I also have a Give and Grow community. I do one-on-one coaching. And so UGO Impact felt a little bit more sort of like a broader umbrella. And I now
Yes.
run Travel for Change programs under the UGO Impact name.
Got it. Got it. If somebody were to come to UGO Impact and decide they want to transform their life and they want to volunteer and they want to travel, what would it look like, a package with UGO Impact?
I run Travel for Change programs a couple of times a year. I connect with amazing organizations and then I structure a program around that. So if someone called me today, I would say, hey, I actually have a program called Mountains in Mudita coming up where it's a 3-month life coaching container, group coaching, where we will have 3 calls and there's a curriculum before, like starting in October. We will head abroad and go to Nepal for 2 weeks, where we will volunteer and immerse ourselves deeply in a local community in the remote Everest region. And we will do coaching throughout that as well and do things like, Buddhist ceremonies and meeting the people that we're actually serving within the charity. And then we will do a 4-day Pikey Peak trek, which is this incredibly beautiful off the beaten track trek that you can see Everest from. You can see Annapurna. It's incredible. It's through little Sherpa villages. We stay in tea houses. And then we come home and we then continue with 3 more group coaching sessions and an individual one-on-one coaching session. And that's sort of our Mountains in Mudita Travel for Change program that we're offering this September. So that would be an offering, or Courage Community Kilimanjaro, same idea, 3 months coaching. We volunteer for a week doing a physical build in Arusha, Tanzania with a women's organization. We climb Kilimanjaro for the week and then come home and again, more coaching. And that one I'm actually running in January of 2027. So those would be the, if you want to travel with us, come with us, full package. That's what I would be like. Come along, join us.
Wow. So is the Nepal, when would that whole cycle start where you would start? Like, what does that look like date wise, just in case any of our
Yeah,
if our listeners are like, wait, sign me up. I want to go to Nepal.
Yeah, so the coaching usually starts about 6 weeks out. So probably in September, October, we'd be starting in the fall. And then we would actually go away for 2 weeks in November. Like,
Okay, so
you only
Nepal is
really
in
need
November.
in November,
Nepal,
we're actually going to Nepal. So when people hear 3 months, they're like, I can't take 3 months off. You don't need to. We're only going to Nepal for 2 weeks.
but for 2 full weeks. And so a week of serving and a week of adventuring.
Yeah, like
Is
4
that right?
days sort of, and then traveling back to Kathmandu and everything like that. But ballpark around 2 weeks, yes.
Wow. You
Mhm.
know what I'm finding really exciting, like thinking about what you're doing. Like I love retreats. Um, have done some retreats myself and with some of my friends. But you've taken the whole retreat idea and taken it out of like it's about me and I need to get and I need. Because what we're finding is the more we focus on ourselves, the more stress we're creating. And so to do something that we do need, to travel, to have these experiences, to get away, to work on ourselves, but then do it in combination with service. And do it in combination with a longer, like you can go to a retreat and feel awesome and you get home and a week later, you're just like right back where you were. So I applaud you for taking that tenacity to say, wait, you need a lot more. And so to build a program, a 3-month experience, like that's going to really create new habits and really start shifting identity
Mhm.
for people who are looking for a major transformation, and then people who maybe are already in the right place but do want to go and travel and have impact that fits for them too. So
Exactly.
what a spectacular model of transformation that you're bringing. I really
Thank
love
you.
that. So when people go, okay, so I imagine you take like a group.
Yeah. Yeah,
How
about 12 people, up to around 12.
up to 12?
We
Okay,
to
that's such
keep
a
it, I
great
mean, I
size.
say intimate. We go and we feel like a single unit, a single team. We come home, we're like family. Like, it's very everyone knows everyone. We're all at dinner, big, like, it's all very intimate.
Right. So with that intimate group that travels with you,
Mhm.
what does belonging look like in the group, starting with the 3 months, you have your coaching going into it. And then after, I'm sure that creates a really strong belonging. So I want to talk a little bit about that. And then how does belonging look like external when this new group that's transforming themselves meet with communities and start doing service? How does belonging look like under
Mhm.
that umbrella?
Yes. Oh my goodness. I mean, so we had our call last night, actually, our first call, because I'm actually leaving in mid-February to take a cohort on our Courage Community Kilimanjaro program. There's 15 of us, like me and my partner, leading a group to Tanzania for this experience. And so we had our first group call last night. We do train for Kili, and there's a training program, and we've got WhatsApp groups. So it starts very, I know you can, like, I'm a person that can show up in a room and be super open, vulnerable, connect. I know that's not for everybody. And so I understand that we need to slowly get to a place where you feel belonging and safe and accepted. We have a WhatsApp group in advance where people can start asking questions, getting to know each other. And then on the first calls, we start fostering that sense of who am I? We start doing the self exploration and the who else am I with here? And we start getting to know each other through prompts and questions and sharing and everything like that. And then that literally just deepens and deepens as we go on this incredible journey, like inner journey together, as well as traveling together. And a bunch of us will be on the same flight when we fly over. And there's just a sort of deepening and deepening connection that will happen. And because I'm very strategic with the group size, the idea is that we don't end up with cliques and things, like that we all really do feel like sort of a single unit together as a team. And that's something I really focus on and try to make sure that we create and maintain. And of course, a sense of support and camaraderie and everything like that. Very intentionally fostered so people feel that they can truly be themselves and feel that
Ooh,
they belong here and are accepted and celebrated.
nice. And then how does that belonging then translate into that week of service with
Uh,
the people they're serving? Does that create
mm.
belonging, a widening of the circle, so to speak?
Yeah, so it's beautiful. We go and we actually like for Tanzania specifically, we're with a women's foundation, and we will go, and then while we're actually volunteering, there is a group of the mamas that are from a women's collective that come and they help us with preparing our lunches for the day. And they literally will sing and dance and welcome us. And we have an opportunity to sit and get to know them. And then we'll make food with them and we'll eat with them and we'll do arts and crafts with them. So it sort of extends then to this larger sort of community that we spend a week deeply immersed with, and every day with them. And then the local contractors on the site, we're all on this site together and we eat with them and literally work with them. And even though there's no shared language, we start learning like the words for brick or the words for dig, whatever it is. And we start, and then we communicate with smiles and warmth, and it just becomes this bigger community that we spend this incredible week with. And, sometimes we're all on the bus together and singing and laughing, and just this community gets to be of service, which bonds them to each other and then to this sort of wider community. It's pretty beautiful, and we sort of stay in a closed accommodation where it's just us, so we're kind of very together. A lot of the time we travel on the bus together, there's a lot of us, and then connecting in with this local community that we literally see every day and get to be really deeply connected to through the week. And it's just beautiful. And I think why it is such a powerful experience is often these people have very little, and what's a great experience is our clients start seeing, oh my goodness, look at the joy and the laughter and how easily we communicate and share love and happiness and things even without shared language. And it's this
Wow.
beautiful sort of understanding of what humanity is and
Mm.
community and joy. um and yeah, it's just, yeah, incredible.
It reminds me of a while back, I used to um, be in the hearing aid industry, and I
Oh.
got to travel with Starkey Hearing Foundation. One of my greatest memories of travel, probably my most favorite trip of my whole life, was to Peru. And we were there for like 2 weeks. We traveled all around the country and fit hearing aids on children. And while the gift of hearing was huge, the one thing that surprised me was the people, the very poor, very simple, beautiful people. The fact that, in our case, Americans had come to help them,
Mhm.
like to come to serve them, to try to make their lives better. Like that meant so much to them, and their gratitude. There was like the language barrier, but through service, through serving each other, through giving love, through giving resources, it's like an immediate sense of belonging. Like there's no striving, I don't feel like, on either side. So I'd
Yeah.
be curious, because you have traveled extensively, whether you're doing this with Hugo or prior in your life. You mentioned a lot of places you've traveled and for extended times.
Oh.
Now, I don't know, I know US and Canada are a little bit different, but our North American culture still. When you've traveled around the world, do you find that other cultures have a more natural, like, building of community and belonging than maybe we have here with our super fast-paced, high consumerism lifestyle?
Absolutely. 100%. And it's why I take our clients to these places to show them there are many ways to be happy. Like, we sort of have this understanding that to be happy, we need to have a big home and acquire lots of stuff and be dressed in certain types of clothing and sort of have this aura of I have wealth and success. Whereas these communities that struggle and, you know, they have come I actually feel like they have come to truly appreciate what really makes them happy, because they haven't been kind of like bedazzled by the crazy, wealth that we think makes us
Like all the
happy.
glitter, all the
All the
glitter.
glitter and stuff.
Yeah.
I actually, I was speaking with someone this morning, and I was speaking about my time in the Philippines, and they have such a deep sense of community and connection and understanding of where real happiness comes. And I was like, because I was in a community where their homes were destroyed, where they had lost loved ones. And I think they realize how their house better not be the source of their happiness, because it was
Mm.
literally washed away. And I think because of that sort of suffering that they have and that realization, they're like, oh, what really matters is my family, not the stuff that can get washed away, not the house that can get destroyed, but what really matters is people and our relationships. I feel that countries and nations that have struggles and have less and less opportunities and things, they actually come to appreciate what really is, the things in life that make us happy. They appreciate it in a way that we don't understand, because we have all the things and we think that's making us happy. The communities I've been in, Uganda, Tanzania, Nepal, like, they're just the loveliest, warmest people. You walk down the street and people wave and say hi to you that you don't know. Like, there's just a different way of engaging with each other that I feel we have sort of lost by creating our own big homes and keeping distance and privacy matters and, wealth and all of that, I feel we've kind of lost that community feel and with that sense of belonging to each other and to a community, um, which is
Yeah.
what brings
And
joy.
how much of our energy and our time is wrapped up in acquiring the stuff and then taking care of the stuff and then protecting the stuff,
And showing it off.
showing off the stuff. And then you have to acquire more stuff. I know when I downsized my life, and you get such a different perspective because when you step back from it, you see it. And you see a lot. I notice a lot of the emptiness, and people just keep filling that void with more stuff and more stuff and more stuff because I feel like, especially in our culture, there is such a huge lack of belonging. And I'd actually be curious. Elev8 Villages is a project for the US and creating villages, like true villages, not like old school villages, new, modern, beautiful villages for youth who've aged out of foster care, who've never belonged anywhere, not even a family, not even a dysfunctional family. They just have been passed around most of their life. And now they're 18 and they're supposed to know how to do life. So we're going to be gathering them in villages, tiny homes. We haven't built our first village yet. We're, getting all the support we need to do that. So from a bird's eye view, with all of your experience in other cultures and building community, both in your coaching practices and then larger with your humanitarian work, what would be one thing from the outside that if we get, we have these youth, we have them safe, we have them out of survival mode, have neighbors living with them who have not had these experiences, what would be something that you would envision for us to do to create a sense of belonging within the village? Like, what
Yeah,
would you do?
it's so funny. I would do two things.
Oh, good. Okay.
And I say that because when I think about the sort of like I run a give and grow community. And the reason I do that very intentionally is one, because giving in community with others is just such a powerful way to make a difference. It brings together people in deep sense of belonging and shared valuedness and giving. So to me, contributing together as a community, having shared projects you're working on. It's why I also, we do the week of volunteering. That sense that we did this together, we built something, we helped together is incredibly bonding. It creates all sorts of just tons of positive things come out of that. A sense of
Yeah.
community, closeness, building new skills. Like there is so much that can happen in doing that. Natural mentorship, people who maybe usually are the big boss are suddenly like, I don't know how to use a hammer. And the person who isn't usually the boss is like, look at me, I know how to, do these things. It shakes things up and all of that. So I would contribute. I would figure out, programs and projects to allow for that community to come together and contribute.
Okay.
And then I would also create spaces and opportunities for shared inner learning and growth. So
Okay.
like group coaching kind of opportunities, because I feel that when we are secure and have a good sense of belonging with ourselves, it allows for healthier relationships with one another. And when we do that journey together, that creates such a deep sense of connection with others. You see their humanity when you see that they struggle with the same things that you struggle with, that you're striving for the same things. I get groups of very diverse and different people. And then when we all sort of realize we all want belonging, we all want our families happy and healthy, we're all struggling as parents to figure, it's like it could bring people of all different ages, stages, phases to have this shared understanding that we're all in the same boat, striving for the same things. And it gives them a deep sense of clarity, confidence within themselves, which I can imagine is just something would be very helpful, having that sort of mentorship, that guidance around what do you want from your life? Now that you're out of survival mode, let's dream about what's possible. Let's help you to create a life that's going to be enriching and fulfilling for you.
Yeah. Oh,
Those
great suggestions. Thank you. Yes, contributing and coaching. And I love the idea of the coaching together.
Oh,
I feel like that brings, like, I'm thinking about retreats I've been on or self-development experiences I've had. You end up with a shared language, kind of shorthand,
uh-huh.
where when you're having that rough day, you have that person you can laugh about a moment that you shared together that reminds you why you're here and why you're doing what you're doing and who you are and the identity that you're growing into. So, so
Yeah.
good.
Oh,
I love
the
those.
shared
I love
language
that.
thing is huge. I think us being able to speak a similar language, like I got into my relationship and I remember being like, ooh, let's talk attachment styles and realizing like, this is my attachment style that, and then when things would happen, I'd be like, oh, there's this tendency coming up and we just understood what it meant and we're able to navigate, and just that shared language and understanding is
Yeah.
so important. And if you're building a whole community that can have a shared understanding of things, that would be so beautiful. I
Hmm.
love what you're doing. Like, love it.
Thanks. Maybe one day you can have I mean, we're not really abroad, but we are a different country. You can bring a group, and
I would love
whether
to.
it's whether we're building or whether we just want a week of amazing content and have just people, the villages are built to have everyday citizens in as
Mhm.
neighbors. I know with some of my work with the youth coming out of foster care, two of the things I've heard often over and over are, it's important for me to be around you because you don't have the bad stories. And they need to know that that's not the whole world. And then just saying, like, wow, I thought I was other. And when I'm around you, I realize we're more the same than we are different. So
Mm,
that's where building the culture within the village is going to be so important.
I love this idea. I'm like,
Yeah.
how can we make one happen in Ontario?
Let's do it. Let's do it. So, before we finish today, I do want to ask, do you have a vision for the future of UGO Impact that like lights you up? What's going on?
Truly, what I love is that often the people that come in our experiences, they then come home, they join the Give and Grow community that we have, where we volunteer locally and do monthly life coaching. We have a book club that's all around sort of how we can contribute and be our best selves so we can best contribute in the world. And so I would love to sort of just feel that there's this larger community of UGO alumni, of UGO members that are locally helping and living their best lives at home and then coming abroad and having these experiences as well. And just, we already have a small sense of that community, but sort of having an even larger one, more trips, maybe another coach or two that are doing other additional trips. I can only take so many. I do have a 10-year-old at home, so I can only run so many programs in a year, but maybe another couple of coaches. So even more community. There's so many things I think about. Maybe a marketplace where we're selling some of the things that are from the different communities and women's groups back here or online, like all of these sort of bigger thoughts, possibilities. Yeah, continuing to have an incredible group and community that is working to be their best selves and their happiest selves and serving the world in the ways that make sense for them and truly use their gifts. Yeah.
Amazing work that you're doing, Jill. Just
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you so much.
So if you would like to coach, transform, serve, travel with Jill and with UGO Impact, just look below in the description. You'll have all the links. If you want to jump on and be a part of the Nepal experience coming up at the end of the year, or Tanzania in about a year, it's never too early to sign up and
Um,
get into community, get into belonging with UGO Impact. Jill, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your heart, and for doing such important work in this world.
oh, thank you so much. It has been such a pleasure, and I'm so excited about all the work that you are doing to make the world a better place too. So this has been an absolute pleasure.
This has been the Belonging Podcast, where together we build belonging.